Skyprince and the Wizard Key by Archie Golden. Chapter 1. The Shard Beneath the Throne. The scream echoed through the obsidian halls of Virell Palace. Prince Kael stood frozen at the edge of the balcony, the cold wind from the floating city biting into his skin, his eyes fixed on the ground far below where the sky met the crumbling remains of the earth. Shattered cities, twisted forests, flickers of flame. But it wasn't the view that chilled him. It was the silence that followed the scream. He turned, heart pounding. The scream had come from the royal crypt. Kael sprinted down the marble corridor, his boots skidding on the sleek floor. The guards had vanished, no doubt already investigating or hiding. Neither was comforting. The door to the crypt was ajar, its ancient runes pulsing faintly with blue light. Kael paused, his breath catching in his throat. He stepped inside. Darkness swallowed him whole, save for a single glowing crystal hovering above his mother's sarcophagus. Queen Erilyn had died 7 years ago under mysterious circumstances no one dared explain. The High Council had ruled it, quote, natural causes. But Kael never believed that. Now, something was wrong. The crystal flared, illuminating a figure kneeling beside the tomb. "Who are you?" Kael demanded. The figure didn't respond. Kael reached for the dagger at his side, ceremonial but sharp enough. "I said, who are you?" The figure turned. It was a boy, barely 13, eyes glassy, lips trembling, blood smeared across his chin like paint. In his hand, he held a long, ancient key, twisting with a soft electric glow. It pulsed with the rhythm Kael felt deep in his spine. The boy whispered. "It whispered your name, Skyprince." Then he collapsed. Chapter 2. The Wizard Key. Kael knelt beside the boy, heart racing. The key was still glowing faintly, humming like it had a pulse. Carefully, he pried it from the boy's hand, expecting resistance, maybe even a curse. But the metal was warm, familiar, like it had been waiting for him. The boy's eyes fluttered open for just a moment. "Don't let them open the gate," he croaked. Then silence. Kael stared at him, unsure if he meant death or sleep, but no breath followed, not even the shallow rise of a chest. He stood and backed away, key in hand. As he did, the crystal above the tomb cracked with a high-pitched chime, spiderwebbing down the middle and falling in pieces to the stone floor. The light went out. Darkness. Kael whispered a command. "Lumina." His ring flared with blue light, casting long shadows across the chamber. He looked again at the tomb. Something had shifted. The top had slid partially open. "No," Kael muttered, stepping forward. Inside, his mother's face remained serene, but now her hand was resting on her chest, and clutched in her palm was a second key, identical. But this one was blackened, scorched as though from fire. And it wasn't humming. It was vibrating, violently, until Kael touched it. Then everything went still. A whisper filled the room, not spoken out loud, but inside his head. 2 keys, 1 truth, 1 lie. Choose, Skyprince. Kael's vision blurred, the world bending at the edges. The walls of the crypt shimmered like heat waves on desert stone. Somewhere deep in the castle, a bell began to toll. 1 key burned. 1 key beckoned. And Kael hadn't even asked the most important question yet. What did the keys open? Chapter 3. The Council's Eyes. The bell echoed 12 times, loud, Grim, final. Kael staggered from the crypt, both keys hidden beneath his cloak. The guards finally reappeared, too late as always, their eyes darting nervously. None dared ask why the royal tomb was cracked open. None dared ask what he carried. In the skies above Virell, storm clouds churned violet and black. Lightning struck the outer tower, and the Skydom trembled with the weight of its own secrets. At the top of the palace spire, the High Council had convened. Kael arrived soaked and breathless, pushing through the great obsidian doors. The chamber was circular, lined with thrones carved from meteor stone. 12 elders turned to him, each robed in a different sigil of the realm: stars, flame, stone, blood. At the head sat Archon Virell, the speaker of truth. A thin man with silver-threaded skin and glowing white eyes. It was said he could see through any lie, even ones unspoken. You were seen entering the crypt and leaving with something that does not belong to you, Archon said, his voice soft but heavy. Kael said nothing. His ring flared, accidentally. Archon noticed. You touched the wizard key. A silence fell over the room. 2 keys, Kael said finally. Not one. Now they stirred. Impossible, said Lady Lira, our voice shaking. The second was lost in the cleaving. If it's returned, muttered another. Kael frowned. What gate? The council looked at one another. Then Archon stood. Bring her in. The doors opened again. Guards dragged in a woman, tall, lean, unkempt. Her dark hair was braided with small metal rings. Her wrists were bound in spell iron. Her eyes burned with a wild, intelligent defiance. Lira Vance. Once a ground-born detective, now a traitor. Exiled for crimes against the crown, though Kael had never been told what crimes. She's been searching for the keys. Now she will help you understand what you found, Archon said. Lira looked at Kael. Her lip curled in a smirk. Well, Skyprince, hope you're ready to break everything they've lied to you about. Chapter 4. The Gate Between Worlds. Lira sat at the edge of the council chamber, shackled but unafraid. Kael couldn't take his eyes off her. There was something fierce in her gaze, like she'd already seen too much and didn't care who knew it. Archon Virell dismissed the rest of the council with a wave of his hand. This stays between the 3 of us, he said, his voice taut. If word spreads, there will be panic, or worse. The chamber emptied and the doors sealed with a soft hum of magic. Kael stepped forward, placing the keys on the obsidian table between them. One posed softly, alive. The other remained still, its edges scorched and ancient. You know what these open, Kael said to Lira. It wasn't a question. She leaned forward. Not exactly, but I know what they're tied to. Kael raised a brow. They're not keys to a door. They're keys to a person, she said. Kael blinked. A person? Lira nodded. Not just any person. A wizard of the rift, the last of their kind. They weren't killed during the cleaving. They were locked away, buried in the void between realms. The gate, Kael whispered. Yes, a metaphysical prison stitched between magic and memory. The only thing that can open it are these keys, crafted with a piece of the wizard's soul. One opens the gate. She tapped the glowing key. The other kills what's inside. Kael swallowed hard. And the boy? He asked. The one in the crypt? Lira's expression darkened. He was a vessel, a seer. Probably didn't even know who he was. The wizard's influence seeps through time and bloodlines. That's why they buried the key with your mother. Kael clenched his fists. Why not destroy it? Lira laughed, dry and bitter. You can't destroy a soul. You can only contain it. Archon finally spoke again. And now that the balance is broken, the containment is failing. Kael stared at the keys, realization dawning. So we either set it free or destroy it. But we don't know which key is which. Lira looked him dead in the eyes. Exactly. Choose wrong, and you don't just unseal a prison, you unleash a war. Chapter 5. Shadows and the Fog. The prison skyship, Eclipse 7, floated quietly above the northern skies, anchored in storm clouds like a watchtower in purgatory. No records placed it there. No civilian airships flew near it. It didn't exist on any map. That's where they sent Lira and Kael. A royal inspection, they claimed. A cover-up, Lira whispered. Kael sat stiffly across from her in the dark transport shuttle. Outside the windows, nothing but thick fog and distant lightning. The keys, hidden inside a rune-locked box, rested in Kael's lap, heavier with each passing minute. You trust Archon too much, Lira said suddenly. Kael didn't look at her. He raised me after my mother died. Exactly, her voice dropped. He's had years to shape you. Kael turned, eyes narrowed. What are you saying? I'm saying you don't get put in front of a gate without being groomed for it. Before Kael could respond, the shuttle jostled, then descended. Outside the windows, nothing but thick fog and distant lightning. The keys, hidden inside a rune-locked box, rested in Kael's lap, heavier with each passing minute. You trust Archon too much, Lira said suddenly. Kael didn't look at her. He raised me after my mother died. Exactly, her voice dropped. He's had years to shape you. Kael turned, eyes narrowed. What are you saying? I'm saying you don't get put in front of a gate without being groomed for it. Before Kael could respond, the shuttle jostled, then descended. Outside the windows, Eclipse 7 loomed, black iron towers, red warning lights, a flat platform shaped like an 8-pointed star. Dozens of sky guards waited in silence. But something was wrong. No movement, no signal, no response. The shuttle touched down. The doors slid open. Silence. Kael stepped out first, keys secure, hands on the hilt of his dagger. Fog coiled around them like smoke. The platform stretched endlessly forward, vanishing into gray. Lira followed closely, every step deliberate. Something's happened here. They approached the main entry gate, sealed, unlit. Kael activated the sigil plate with his ring. Nothing. Then a voice. A whisper. So faint, Kael thought it came from his own thoughts. Turn back, Skyprince. Kael spun around. Did you hear that? Lira nodded, her expression grim. We're not alone. From the fog, a shadow moved, then another. Figures, masked, hooded, robed in stitched leather and armor, emerging from the mist. Their eyes glowed faint blue, as if lit from within. Lira stepped forward, unshackled at last, hands ready. Who the hell are you? One figure raised a hand. From beneath their hood came a single sentence. We are the Forgotten 12, guardians of the gate. And you, Prince Kael, have brought us the key that ends the world. Chapter 6. The Forgotten 12. Kael gripped the key box tighter, heart hammering against his ribs. The fog thickened, and the air around the Forgotten 12 seemed to bend, like light itself was afraid to touch them. Lira stepped in front of Kael, one hand slowly reaching for the knife tucked into her boot. "You want the keys?" she asked. "You'll have to go through us." The leader of the 12 lowered his hood. He was barely human. His skin shimmered like cracked obsidian, veins of silver glowing beneath the surface. One eye was gone, replaced with a small swirling void, pulsing in rhythm with the keys. "We don't want to stop you," he said. "We want to warn you." Kael took a slow step forward. "Warned me about what?" "The truth." He reached into his robe and pulled out a small orb. The air snapped with static energy as he crushed it in his palm. A flash of blinding white light consumed the platform, and then the fog vanished. Suddenly, they were standing inside a vast chamber of Eclipse 7. The ceiling soared hundreds of feet overhead, where glowing sigils rotated slowly like constellations. In the center of the floor was a circular well, rimmed with black stone. The gate. A living seal of runes and magic, churning endlessly like a vortex of time and memory. Kael stepped toward it instinctively, the keys thrumming stronger with each inch. "The wizard sleeps inside," the robed man said, "and dreams violently." Kael turned to him. Why was he locked away? "Because he saw too far," said another of the 12, a woman with braided silver hair and a jagged scar across her neck. "He saw the truth about this world and tried to undo it." Kael's brow furrowed. "What truth?" "That the Skydom was built on a lie. That your people used the rift to rewrite history. That magic itself was never a gift. It was a theft." Kael's hands trembled. "No! He tried to return balance," she continued. "But the crown betrayed him, bound him here using his own soul, split into two keys." Lyra's voice was barely a whisper. "Then which key is which?" The leader of the 12 tilted his head. "We don't know. That was his final safeguard." Kael looked down at the keys. Heart split in two. One choice would awaken the truth. The other could end everything. From deep within the gate, something stirred. A voice. "Kael, you are the final lock." Chapter 7. The Third Key. The gate pulsed, deep and steady like a heartbeat beneath stone. Kael stood motionless, sweat slick on his palms, both keys cradled in his hands. Lira watched him carefully, tension coiling in her body like a storm about to break. "You heard it, didn't you?" she said. Kael nodded. "It knows me." The leader of the Forgotten 12 steps closer, his voice low. "That's not a coincidence. The wizard chose you long before your birth. The Skydom may have raised you as a prince, but your blood tells another story." Kael looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" The robed woman, the one with the scar, stepped forward and pulled back her sleeve. A glyph glowed beneath her skin, shaped like a trident wrapped in flame. Kael's heart sank. He had the same mark. It had appeared on his chest after his mother died, and no priest or healer had ever been able to explain it. "The mark of the Riftborn," the woman said. "Children bound by magic in memory, carriers of lost knowledge. You are his descendants, Kael." "No," Kael whispered. "That's not possible." "It is," Lira said gently. "That's why the key answered you." The gate flared brighter, and a new symbol appeared on its surface, a third slot. Lira stepped back. "There's a third key." "No," Kael said. There are only 2. Not anymore. The leader of the 12 held out a small leather pouch. It appeared yesterday in the hands of a dying thief who broke into the vaults of silence. It wasn't forged. It was grown from memory. Kael opened the pouch. Inside was a crystalline shard, twisted and clear, etched with the same trident glyph as his mark. The moment he touched it, the gate shuddered. The 3 slots on its face now glowed, each shaped to match a different key. Kael stepped forward, heart thundering. 1 key opens the prison, 1 destroys the soul, 1 binds the truth to the wielder. Lira reached out, catching his wrist. If you choose wrong, I know. Kael stared at the 3 locks and realized the final decision would not be one of knowledge, but of trust. Chapter 8. The Choice of 3. The chamber was still. Even the gates seemed to hold its breath. Kael stood before it, the 3 keys laid on a black stone pedestal glowing faintly. The original humming wizard key, warm and silver, the scorched and still black key, heavy with dread, and now the new translucent crystal shard, sharp with unreadable energy. 3 keys, 3 fates, 1 choice. Lira's voice cut through the silence. You can't guess, not with what's at stake. I'm not guessing, Kael said. You think you know which is which? No, he admitted, but I think the wizard does. He stepped forward and placed a palm on the gate. It flared, then dimmed, then flared again, pulsing like a question. From deep inside, the voice returned, no louder, no clearer, but closer. The first key frees me. The second ends me. The third binds you to me. Kael staggered back, breath caught in his throat. They're all traps, Lira said, stepping forward. He wants out. He wants you. This isn't a prison, it's a baited seal. That's why it needed a bloodline heir to complete the circle. The forgotten 12 said nothing. They stood in shadowed reverence, as if they knew the moment was no longer theirs to influence. Kael looked down at his hands. Each key felt heavier now, almost like they were pulling him toward different futures. He closed his eyes. He remembered his mother whispering bedtime stories about stars that walked like men, about a time before the Skydom rose, a time when power didn't come from blood, but from truth. He opened his eyes. I know which one it is, he said. Lira stared. How? Kael picked up the crystal shard. It's not a key, it's a mirror. It doesn't unlock anything, it reflects. He reached for the black key next. This one, it doesn't pulse, it doesn't fight, it waits like death. Then finally he held the silver wizard key. His fingers tingled, his thoughts drifted, but not away, deeper, sharper, focused. Kael stepped to the gate, keys hovering just inches from the locks. The world doesn't need another ruler, he thought. It needs the truth, even if it kills me. He inserted the silver key. The gate roared to life. Chapter 9. The Rift Opens. The gate exploded with light. A spiral of runes shot into the air, orbiting Kael like a hurricane of language and magic. The ground shook. The platform cracked. The sky split in 2. Kael screamed, not in pain, but in revelation. He could see everything. Memories that weren't his. Lifetimes lived in seconds. He saw the wizard's creation, the rise of the Skydom, the blood rituals, the betrayal of the Riftborn. He saw his mother kneeling before the council, begging them not to bind the wizard's soul, using her unborn child as a tether. The truth hit like a blade. Kael was the final piece of the lock. The silver key hadn't unlocked the gate. It had unlocked him. Inside the gate, the swirling light coalesced. A figure began to form, tall, draped in tattered robes of starlight and void, eyes blazing with sorrow and fury. The wizard. He stepped forward, not bound, not enraged, just tired. Kael dropped to one knee, barely able to stand beneath the weight of raw truth burning in his mind. "I didn't free you," Kael said. "You used me." "No," the wizard replied, voice echoing through bone and sky. "You chose me, and that choice means everything." Behind Kael, Lira and the Forgotten 12 braced themselves. Magic surged from the gate like a tidal wave. The fog returned, but now it whispered. The wizard raised a hand. The black key and the crystal shard lifted into the air, circling above them, one burning like coal, the other spinning like a star. This world must decide, oblivion or rebalancing. Kael looked up. "And me? You are neither prince nor prisoner anymore." The wizard pointed to Kael's chest, where the glyph of the Riftborn glowed with searing light. "You are the key-bearer, a living link between realms." And then the gate shattered, not destroyed, but fulfilled. In its place stood a bridge of light, stretching out into the void. Lira stepped beside Kael. "What happens if we follow?" He looked at her. "We rewrite what they tried to erase." The wizard turned, stepping onto the bridge. And Kael, Skyprince no more, followed. Chapter 10. The Door Beyond Stars. The bridge shimmered beneath Kael's feet as he stepped into the unknown. Behind him, the floating city of Virell faded into shadow. Ahead, a sea of stars churned above a landscape that shouldn't exist. Fragmented castles floating like memories, rivers running backward, trees made of mirrored glass. This was the rift, the hidden realm between truth and time. Beside him walked the wizard, his face veiled now, his energy pulsing like a dying star. Each step they took, Kael felt reality bend, not break, shift. "You said we'd rewrite what they erased. How?" The wizard gestured to a pulsing monument at the center of the rift, a spire carved of pure memory, the archive. "This is where everything lies, the true history of the realms, before the Skydom, before the council, before they stole the magic from the people." Kael stared at it. "And you want to give it back?" "I want to offer it," the wizard said, "but not everyone wants the truth. Some will choose comfort, some will cling to the lie." They reached the base of the archive. Lira appeared behind them, breathing hard. "I had to see it. All of it. The council will send hunters, you know." "They'll try," Kael replied. At the center of the archive was a pedestal. Hovering above it, a book. Not bound in leather or wood, but woven from starlight, thought, and soul. Kael reached out. "You'll become a beacon," the wizard warned, "a light that either awakens or blinds." Kael touched the book, and suddenly he was the book. He saw the world unfold beneath him, every truth hidden, every life reshaped, every spell corrupted by power. He saw the first flame, the original magic, untouched and untamed, and he saw it returning. When Kael opened his eyes, the rift was gone. The archive vanished. He was back on the platform of Eclipse 7. But the city above was different now. The clouds had parted, the stars had returned, and every person in the Skydom felt it. Something had changed. Something real had begun. Lira stood beside him. What happens now? Kael looked down at his hands, still glowing faintly. We give them the choice, he said. Then he looked up at the sky. And this time, no one lies. The end. Book 1, Skyprince and the Wizard Key.